Hey guys, welcome to my journey in the Bible chronologically. Today I will be focusing on the book of Leviticus, chapters 25 and 26. They're quite lengthy. We're actually to the end of the book, which is the last chapter, is Leviticus 27. I considered squeezing it in today so that it's one less video. However, it's very, very lengthy. And Facebook does give me sometimes a bit of hardship to upload them. And even YouTube, it takes a very, very long time to upload them because of the internet connection here in the deep Ugandan villages. So, Leviticus 25 speaks of the Sabbath of the seventh year, the year of Jubilee, provisions for the seventh year, redemption of property, lending to the poor, the law concerning slavery. Then 26 speaks of a promise of blessing and retribution, and we stop there. Now, before we get into it, just a little insight about the Jubilee years. It's really, really interesting. Every 50th year in Israel was the year of Jubilee. The provisions of the sacred time were intended to maintain economic equality and prevent concentration of wealth in the hands of few. In the Jubilee year, if properties were not already redeemed, it was to be restored to the original owner. And that's found in Leviticus 25, 25 through the 28th verse. This prevented the creation of great hierarchy estates that would have reduced the families to small landholders to the status of sheriffs. The concept of the Jubilee year in Leviticus chapter 25 bears a general similarity to the suspension of debts, which was a widespread phenomenon in the Old Babylonian period. While the Old Babylonian people lived a few centuries before Israel inhabited Canaan, they too were concerned about the equitable distribution of land and the resultant wealth. So basically, they didn't want what we have today, which we have those uber wealthy folks and then all the other poorer folks. So they had some kind of a measure of control. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of Holy Spirit, God's absolute precious word reads as so. And the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall keep a Sabbath to the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard, and gather its fruit. But in the seventh year there shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a solemn to the Lord. You shall neither sow your field nor prune your vineyard. What grows of its own accord of your harvest you shall not keep, nor gather the grapes of your untended vine, for it is a year of rest for the land. And the Sabbath produce of the land shall be food for you. For you, your male and female servants, your hired man, and the stranger who dwells with you, for your livestock and the beast that are in your land. All its produce shall be food for you. And you shall count 7 Sabbaths of the years for yourself, 7 times 7 years. And the time of the 7th Sabbath of years shall be to you 49 years. Then you shall cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day for the 7th month. On the day of atonement, you shall make the trumpet to sound throughout all your land, and you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all the land of its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, and each of you shall return to his possessions, and each of you shall return to his family. That 50th year shall be a year, a jubilee to you. In it you shall neither sow nor reap what grows of its own accord, nor gather the grapes of your untended vine. For it is the Jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat its produce from the field. In this year of Jubilee, each of you shall return to his possessions. And if you sell anything to your neighbor or buy from your neighbor's hand, you shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the Jubilee, you shall buy from your neighbor, and according to the number of years of crop, he shall sell to you. According to the multitude of years, you shall increase its price, and according to the fewer number of years, you shall diminish its price. For he sells to you according to the number of the years of the crops. Therefore, you shall not oppress one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am the Lord your God. You shall observe my statutes and keep my judgments and perform them, and you will dwell in the land in safety. Then the land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and dwell there in safety. And if you say, what shall we eat in the seventh year, since we shall not sow nor gather in our produce? Then I will command my blessing on you in the sixth year, and it will bring forth produce enough for 3 years. And you shall sow in the eighth year and eat old produce until the ninth year. Until its produce comes in, you shall eat of the old harvest. So basically, God is just giving plentiful if we followed his commandments as far as observing the Sabbath year and even observing the Jubilee year. He would give in abundance the year before, 3 years and up to 9 years. Continue. The Lord shall not be sold, the land shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and sojourners with me, and in all the land of your possessions you shall grant redemption of the land. If one of your brother becomes poor and has sold some of his possessions, and if his redeeming relatives come to redeem it, then he may redeem what his brother sold. Or if the man has no one to redeem it, but he himself becomes able to redeem it, then let him count the years since its sale, and restored the remainder to the man to whom he sold it, that he may return to his possession. But if he is not able to have it restored to himself, then what was sold shall remain in the hand of him who brought it into the year of Jubilee. And in the Jubilee it shall be released, and he shall return to his possession. If a man sells a house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. Within a full year, he may redeem it. But if it is not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house in the walled city shall belong permanently to him who brought it throughout his generations. It shall not be released in the Jubilee. However, the house of villages which have no wall around them shall be counted as the field of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released in the Jubilee. Nevertheless, the city of the Levites and the houses in the city of their possession, the Levites may redeem at any time. And if a man purchases a house from the Levites, then The house that was sold in the city of his possession shall be released in the Jubilee. For the houses in the city of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. But the field of the common land of their cities may not be sold, for it is their perpetual possession. That's a little complex to me. I've read this section a couple of times and it's still a little complex to me. Hopefully, it makes a little more sense to you than it does to me. We continue. If one of your brethren becomes poor and falls into poverty among you, then you shall help him, like a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take no usury or interest from him, but fear your God, that your brother may live with you. You shall not lend him your money from usury, nor lend him from your food at profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. And if one of your brethren who dwells by you becomes poor and sells himself to you, you shall not compel him to serve you as a slave. As a hired servant or a sojourner, he shall be with you and shall serve you until the year of Jubilee. And then he shall depart from you, he and his children with him, and shall return to his own family. He shall return to the possession of his fathers. For they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as slaves. You shall not rule over him with rigor, but you shall fear your God. And as for your male and female slaves, whom you may have from the nations that are around you, from them you may buy male and female slaves. Moreover, you may buy the children of the strangers who dwell among you, and their families. Pardon me. Moreover, you may buy the children of the strangers who dwell among you, and their families who are with you, which they beget in your land, and they shall become your property. And you may take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them as a possession. They shall be your permanent slaves. But regarding your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule over them one another with rigor. You shall not rule over one another with rigor. Now, if a sojourner or a stranger close to you becomes rich, and one of your brethren who dwells by him becomes poor, and sells himself to the stranger or sojourner close to you, or to a member of the stranger's family after he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brothers may redeem him, or his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or anyone who is near of kin to him and his family may redeem him, or if he is able, he may redeem himself. Thus he shall reckon with him who brought him. The price of his release shall be according to the number of years, from the year that he was sold to him until the year of Jubilee. It shall be according to the time of a hired servant for him. If there are still many years remaining, according to them, he shall repay the price of his redemption for the money which he was brought. And if there remain but a few years until the year of Jubilee, then he shall reckon with him, and according to his years he shall repay him the price of his redemption. He shall be with him as a yearly hired servant, and he shall, not rule with rigor over him, in your sight. And if he is not redeemed in these years, then he shall be released in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For the children of Israel are servants to me. They are my servants who I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. I think I'm going to stop here in chapter 25 because 26 is quite lengthy. It speaks about the promises of the blessings of retribution. I think I'm going to just cut the last two chapters into videos by themselves because, as you can see, this last one was a little lengthy and I don't want to lose interest in anyone. So we shall stop here and we shall continue soon. God bless you all. Thank you for joining me on my journey through the Bible chronologically. Bye.